Today on Real Life, the largest Sunday school in the world. Bill Wilson of Metro World Child shares how they are making a kingdom impact in young people's lives. Plus, preventing diabetes. Dr. Paulette Sedlak shares a plan to overcome diabetes on today's Real Life Nutrition. And on Real Life Coaching, the business of honor. Bob Hasson and Danny Silk reveal how knowing our identity affects our own culture of honor. That's today on Real Life.
This is Real Life. God loves you. Jesus died for you. The Holy Spirit, He empowers you.
Amen.
And the Bible is your and my guide to abundant life. I'm your host, Don Black. I'm here with my beautiful co-host and bride, Terry, and our strong right arm, Pastor J. Anthony Gilbert. The team is reassembled, ready to go march down to the end zone and score.
That's right, marching. Well, not just scoring, but marching makes me think about the armed services and all the military for all that they've done to protect us. Well, yesterday was Veterans Day, but today we are acknowledging Veterans Day. And to all of you who are veterans and families of veterans, we applaud, we salute, we give you utmost honor and respect because of what you've done. We have liberty. We have freedom. Thank you so much.
That's right. We never take for granted the service of our veterans and our active duty.
That's right.
And I like to expand that just a little bit, Pastor Jay, to those first responders that are on duty right now, firefighters and law enforcement officers who will, at a moment's notice, will throw themselves in harm's way.
And they put their lives on the line every single day. You know, there's veterans that put their lives on the line to go into battle for us, but then we have police officers, like you said, first responders that put their life on the line every day dealing with crime and drugs and shootings and domestic violence. And so we thank God, we applaud you, and we continue to pray for you that God will put a hedge of protection round about you.
That's
right, absolutely.
Let's not forget to pray for those men and women who are in that place.
Amen.
And let's respect them and honor them. When you see a police officer, why don't you say, good morning, officer, or good afternoon, officer? Why don't you say something like, stay safe, or I'm praying for you. Let's show honor to them, because we're talking about honor in this program. A military veteran who comes through the airport, let's applaud them. Let's show honor to whom honor is due.
Thank you for your service.
That's right.
What a better way. I love to be able to shake hands with our veterans and for those who are involved in our service to say thank you for your service.
Well, a friend of the ministry, Bill Wilson, is back with us. He has got a tremendous story to tell us.
He does.
Not
it's
just
amazing.
He's operating the world's largest Sunday school, but this is a story about the consequences of his standing in obedience. See, he's going to tell something that's going to be blessing to you.
That's right.
You're going to hear a story that's going to really bless your life.
You know, we're talking about honor, you know, and dealing with our veterans, and we have a great subject coming up in coaching dealing with the business of honor and how knowing our true identity is vital to our success. So we'll be looking forward to seeing what's going to be shared during that time.
All right. And you know, this is just a great way to start our week, isn't it?
The coming and watching Cornerstone in real life.
Yes,
and we welcome you.
And to talk about honor, I think that's not really talked about.
It's huge.
You know, and I don't know if is it something you talk about or do you have to teach it? What do you think?
I think you show it.
You show it? But what about children? Do they get taught it?
Show it to your children. Show them how to honor somebody. Demonstrate. Be a living epistle. Show them what you mean. Show the culture what you mean. Christians should be an honoring group. And so the best way to teach is to lead by example.
That's right.
You know, words are great, but leading by example is even more important because some people are watching you. Did you know that? People watch you. Pastor Jay, sometimes we think we're living in this little vacuum, but people will observe, especially if you know you're a Christian.
Yeah.
they're going to keep their eye on you.
No matter where you are, no matter where you go, there's always someone that has their eyes on you. You know, and you're mentioning about honor. You know, I was thinking about even with children. You know how, you know, they call adults by their first name. I remember growing up, you never did that.
I know.
You always called. If I saw you, I'd say, hey, Mr. Don, hey, or Sister Terry, or Miss Terry. But now they just come and say, hey, Don. I'm like, you're 5 years old. What happened to honoring our adults?
right.
And we need to have that again with our children.
I think it's being respectful of just honoring people by how we approach them and what we say to them.
Yeah.
And just remember to be grateful. How many times do we forget to say thank you? You know, I think it's important to say thank you. And
here's one thing I know. I hear a lot of, my pleasure.
That's because we go to Chick-fil-A a lot.
My pleasure.
It's my pleasure, Chick-fil-A. Well, that's probably where we would get a franchise if we could, wouldn't we?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure I'm in that business.
Well, you know, speaking of food, and Chick-fil-A is somewhat nutritious, shall we say? Dr. Paulette Sedlak.
That's all I can say. They better be nutritious.
Oh, okay. Well, Dr. Sedlak is here. She is our RealLife Nutrition specialist, and today she has tips for preventing diabetes. Here she is with RealLife Nutrition.
Hello and welcome. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Well, what is diabetes? How do you know if you're on your way to becoming a diabetic? And why is it so important to prevent diabetes? Well, first you need to know about the hormone called insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone that your pancreas produces. And insulin goes to work after you eat carbohydrate foods. And through the digestion process, carbohydrates are broken down to smaller molecules called glucose. Your body needs insulin in order to use or store glucose for energy. And without insulin, glucose stays in the bloodstream, keeping blood sugar levels high. So insulin helps glucose be turned into energy for your cells. Now, if you continue to eat an excess amount of carbohydrate foods, your cells will not be able to use insulin well. And as a result, your body tries to produce more insulin to keep glucose entering into your cells for energy. But over time, your pancreas can't make enough insulin, and blood sugar, also known as blood glucose levels, will rise. And this is how you can become a diabetic. Now, diabetics are at least twice more likely to have heart problems and strokes than people who don't have the condition. And over 70% of people with diabetes develop nerve damage that causes pain and burning in the feet and may lead to amputation of toes and feet. Diabetes is the leading cause of blindness among adults ages 20 to 74 in the United States. And diabetes can also cause damage to the nerves that control your internal organs, which can cause symptoms including sexual problems, digestive issues, and trouble sensing when your bladder is full. It can lead to Alzheimer's and even premature aging. Now, some symptoms of diabetes include increased thirst and urination, increased hunger, fatigue, blurred vision, numbness or tingling in the feet and hands, and sores that do not heal very quickly, and unexplained weight loss. Now, it may take years for symptoms to develop, and you may not be aware that you're becoming a diabetic. Well, how do you know if you have diabetes? Well, you need to be tested. So step one is get your blood sugar checked. A glucose blood test will tell you what your blood sugar is right now, but you also need to request that your doctor orders an A1C test. This test will show what's been happening with your blood sugar for the last few months. Now, don't assume your doctor will automatically order this A1C test. You need to be proactive and ask for it. Now, most cases of type 2 diabetes are preventable because generally type 2 diabetes is a disease that occurs due to an unhealthy lifestyle. Therefore, there is much you can do to become proactive to prevent it. So you need a game plan that includes, number one, losing weight and keeping it off. It's shown that extra belly fat is linked to diabetes, and studies have shown that the extra pounds put you at risk for diabetes. Number two is move your body more. Studies show that those who sit all day have a higher chance of diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, and even high cholesterol. So you need to get at least 30 minutes of physical activity 5 days a week. And if you have not been active, you need to start slowly. And if you have a health condition, make sure you check with your doctor before you begin to exercise. Number 3 is moderation of sugary foods. Now, Proverbs 25:16 tells us if you eat honey, just eat a little bit of honey, because if you eat too much, it can actually make you vomit. And I love this verse because it shows how practical God is. Even in biblical times, He gave people sweet honey to eat, but He didn't say eat honey all day, every day, all day long. So foods that are high in sugar digest more quickly and allow a surge of sugar to occur in your bloodstream. So start by eliminating all the sugary treats out of your diet, and this will help with your blood sugar to take the load off the pancreas. Now, this will stop you from having the risk of diabetes. Now, a study showed that those who drank fruit juice every day were 18% higher risk candidates for developing diabetes. But when you eat whole fruits instead of drinking fruit juice, it reduces the risk. Natural sugars in fruit juice absorb very quickly in the stomach, causing a surge in blood sugar. But when you eat whole fruits, this slows the absorption because of the fiber in the fruits. So the slower a food digests, the less impact it has on your blood sugar. So you want to make sure you're eating foods like proteins and healthy fats. So until we meet again, remember 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God.
Dr. Paulette, it's remarkable, the statistics about type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
And how rampant it is in our nation. And what saddens me is for young people.
Yes.
How many young people
Yes.
have diabetes now?
Yes.
What's the number one reason
Yes.
that that's a fact?
Well, it's very common now for people in their 20s and 30s to develop type 2 diabetes, and they develop it because of their diets. You know, years ago, I said it was because of all the rise in drinking soda pops, and I still believe that, but it's still all the sugary things, all the fast foods that are very high in sugar, and it's just so easy to eat junk foods, and people are so busy, so they just grab a sweet a donut or a cake or a cookie or something, and that's breakfast, instead of having, you know, a healthy protein, healthy fats, and something that's really nourishing to the body. So it's just that overworking daily of the pancreas, and the pancreas becomes exhausted, and it just can't continue on, and it becomes insulin resistant, which leads to diabetes.
Okay, somebody, say you don't have a problem with weight gain.
Right.
You saw 7, 8, 10% more gives you the candidacy for diabetes.
Yes.
But what if you don't have a problem for weight gain? You kind of burn it off, but does it still impact your body the same way?
Absolutely. You can have a high metabolism, and therefore maybe your weight stays in a good range, but you're still, you know, the pancreas is still an organ, so it's being overworked. So even though you may be thin, you can still develop diabetes.
What does diabetes do to you ultimately?
Well, ultimately, some of the long-term symptoms, I think most tragically, is it's a #1 leading cause of blindness. And also, I've had several patients that have had their feet and toes amputated because it causes extreme circulatory problems, nerve damage. It can lead to a much higher risk of heart attack and stroke. So diabetes affects the whole body. So even though you don't feel it, it's affecting all of you.
Am I right to want to say this? You don't die from diabetes, but you would die from the complications of diabetes?
That would be correct. That would be correct.
So we don't want that for you.
Right.
We want you to live an abundant life, to live that life that God has created you to be healthy. That's what Dr. Paulette's been about her whole career. So start making a turn. Start pushing away the sugars and start pushing back towards the healthy food, and your body will respond. God does things in our bodies supernaturally. Hey, don't go away. We're going to come back and hear a supernatural story about Bill Wilson.
How do I save my marriage?
What are signs of addiction?
Does God love me?
Can I be healed?
In today's world, it's easy to look for answers, but where do you find the truth? Well, here at Cornerstone, we believe that real answers for all of life's questions come from God's Word. We care about you and want to help you find what you're looking for. And as our gift to you, we would love to send you God's answers for real life. Cornerstone President Don Black's book covers 30 topics, from depression to finances to addiction to marriage. Each chapter gives answers from the Bible on whatever you may be facing. So call today or go online for your free copy of God's Answers for Real Life. It will bless you and help you find the abundant life that Jesus promises.
Tara, I remember when Norma introduced me to Bill Wilson. Mm-hmm. And Bill's been a friend of the ministry for a long, long time. And he's the founder and he's pastor, and I get this, the world's largest Sunday school.
That's
the
right.
largest Sunday school. He's here to tell us how God's moving in the lives of the next generation and to tell us a story. I told you it's going to be of what God did supernaturally to get him back on his feet. Bill, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
So glad you're here.
Thank you.
We are so glad you're here.
Thank you. You too.
Yes.
You know, just in way of introduction, because some of you maybe is new to us and haven't met you before, give us a little picture about what your ministry's doing.
Yeah, Don, you know, when you look back where my mother left me when I was 12 years old, that I can't help but keep going back to that as the key defining moment in my whole life. Because you guys know, it could have went either way.
That's right.
I sat in that corner for 3 days. That was in 1960. So anybody could have picked me up.
That's right.
And the only one that stopped was the ordinary Christian man. Operative word, and y'all watching, they better get this. Because this is the old message I bring when I'm doing conferences. One person can make a difference. And we all say we believe it, but at the end of the day, I don't really think we believe it as much as we profess. There's one man stops, gets out of his car, walks across the street to where I've been sitting, puts his hand on my shoulder, and just says, "Are you okay?" That's it. That was the inception, the whole beginning. And I used to stutter really bad when I was little. And I tried to explain to him that my mother was gone and I was just hungry. Immediately, he gets his wife, she brings me food and water, he gets on the phone, and 5 hours after this meeting on a street corner, he's loading me in a church van, sends me to a Sunday school camp, and that's where I met Jesus, and I never looked back.
How old were you?
I was 12.
12
yes,
years
sir.
old.
Yep.
And the key word you said, Sunday school. And
Yep.
you know, so many times now in today's world, churches don't do Sunday
I know.
schools anymore.
I know.
So what
I know.
makes your ministry so unique?
You know, Sunday school is an institution, and I'm not going to give everybody a history lesson of how Robert Raikes founded it back in London in the 1800s, why he did it, although that's part of the bigger picture. But it becomes a time where a kid can go somewhere that's, number one, safe, number one, or number two, nobody's screaming and hollering at them, number three, biblical truths in a way that a kid understands, that can grasp it, not for just a quick look on a phone, because most kids now, their face is buried in their phone all day, like some of you adults. And it then becomes this time, this point of connection. But the real back end of the thing is it's all built on relationships. Because we visit every kid in the Sunday school where they live, whether it's a homeless shelter, whether it's on the street, whether it's in an apartment, a tenement. You're building a relationship that transcends the typical Sunday morning thing that most of us older folks remember as what Sunday school was. It was that 1 hour on Sunday morning that was boring. Nobody wanted to go. It was horrible. Remember the little dopey flannel graph stories where they kept falling off the flannel and you could never get them to stay on?
But you know, I grew up going to Sunday school, but I remember like songs from that time period. I mean, there's things that you learn as a child that you remember.
But it's through repetition. It's the power of spaced repetition. And that becomes the essence of educating children. I have a PhD from the University of Wales. I'm working on a medical degree now, just because I go to places where you have to be able to diagnose something. And last year I delivered a baby in a truck stop in Texas.
No way.
Hey, you can't make this up.
Oh, I know you can't.
You know, and because it was such a horrendous experience and I had no idea what I was doing, I thought, I maybe want to learn how to actually do this right. So,
Did the baby's okay?
everybody lived.
Okay.
Everybody lived.
That's all I need.
Everybody lived.
Everybody made it.
It was good.
Well, speaking of living, You were just a year ago.
Yeah, just a year ago.
You were shot.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I was in Syria. I worked with a good friend of mine. There was a camp made available to him by the Israeli government. And I can't tell you exactly where it is because it's still an undisclosed location. But it's just number 18. That's all I can tell people. And I was there to help him, work with him and the team with medical as well as Sunday school with the Syrian kids, primarily the ones that were caught up in the middle of this whole mess over there. And Assad, his guys were doing bombing runs about 20 clicks north of the camp. There was a Russian camp to the east, an ISIS camp to the west. So where we were serving was right in the middle of this whole mess. And it was one evening, and I heard some jackals killing some animal out there, and I'm just at the gate looking out there, and I turned, and apparently the sniper that was there kind of doing recon on the camp probably thought I saw him and took a shot. I had my bulletproof vest on, but it caught me right here in the back. It was a .308 round.
Wow.
And bent one of the metal plates in the vest, which in turn broke 2 of my ribs, which one of them then poked a hole in my lung, knocked me forward, fell on some rocks, fractured my skull. So,
my goodness.
Yeah, and you know, you're laying there and you don't know if that thing has penetrated the vest.
Right.
You can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then they found me, drugged me into the bunker, and the Israelis came, did the rounds, airlifted me to a hospital in Jerusalem. Then I went on to a hospital in London.
Oh
but
my
those again, moments, and some of you watching, you know you've been at moments in your life when you don't know. This thing can go either way.
Right.
And you're laying in the desert knowing you've been hit by something. But again, I've been healed before. And you don't, and this is the thing, and you guys will understand this. You don't get strength for a battle, you get strength from the battle. That's right. And I think that's one of the things that modern cultural Western Christianity has missed. Because the minute the trouble comes, our first prayer is, Lord, get me out of this, or I don't understand this, or I don't. You know, David said when Saul questioned him, why do you think you can beat this giant? And all of you watching know what David said. He said, I fought a bear once, I beat him. I fought a lion once, I beat him. So, and that's this last shooting for me, because that's the second time I've been shot. So I'm kind of becoming an expert now. But when you've been through enough stuff, and now I just turned 70 years old a couple of weeks ago.
Happy late birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But now you look back, it's all been prep. My whole life, from my mother leaving me on the street corner to the shootings, 3 plane crashes, stabbed 4 times, all the diseases I picked up on the field. But now it's all prep. So now governments are calling us saying, please, can you come and start Metro Sunday School here, in this city, in this country.
Throughout the world.
All over the world.
That is
but it's
amazing.
all been prep.
Yeah.
But we get so consumed with the preparation and the process that we don't get that there's a purpose to the process. There's a purpose to the prep. And that's what we miss.
And it's, you know, you just said you just turned 70, right? Yep. And so you're going, it's getting better for you.
Well, yeah.
And so for all of you who are 70 or whatever, you know that the best days are yet to come. You can make a difference.
Yep.
That's right.
And with that in mind, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna get you ready because I want you to tell our folks at home how to finish life strong.
Yes, sir.
Will you do that for us?
Let's do it.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Okay.
A group of Chinese Christians who are arrested for worshiping continue to share their faith behind bars. China Aid reports authorities detained 20 Christians for holding services on the street and in a public park. While they were in prisons, the Christians continued to share their faith with others and prayed for God's power. Now in China, evangelism is banned outside of registered religious sites. The government is currently pressuring underground house churches to close and join the state-sanctioned church. A pair of landlords in Seattle say the Bible inspired them to give their tenants a free month of rent. The couple says their Christian belief caused them to bless their 11 renters. They were inspired by a passage in Deuteronomy that says debts should be forgiven every 50 years. And since the property where they have the tenants is 50 years old, they felt this was a chance to honor God and their tenants. I love that. Well, that's all for God in the Headlines. Have a great day on purpose.
Pastor Jay, I just asked, how do you finish life strong? Now, you're a young man coming out strong, all full of vim and vigor, as they say, Bill.
Yeah.
Here we are, brother.
Really that full of vim and vigor?
Yeah, he is filled with vim and the Holy Spirit. Now, you and we're still there. We're like Moses. We're still there. How do you finish strong?
When they took me to the hospital, one of the nurses asked me basically that same question. She said, how is it that you've lived this 50 years in the ministry? How can you still keep going to these places? And I made one statement. I said, your commitment has to be stronger than your emotions. Because most Christian folks live, right? But most Christian people live on emotion. It's all about how they feel. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm sick and tired. Okay, really? Really? Yeah. Come on. It's when you have a purpose and you're going somewhere and you're moving towards that, your commitment always has to override the emotion. Because if it doesn't, you won't make it. You won't finish strong. You won't even finish, period.
That's right.
Wow.
That one phrase.
That one phrase is a commitment.
Don't miss this, guys. Your commitment has got to be stronger than your emotion. I know whom I have believed. I'm still persuaded that he's still able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. Once you get that, folks, that's what it's going to take to finish strong.
When you're there, when you're in that position, no matter what your age, because we never know when the end's coming.
That's right, that's right.
But once you're there, then you know that God has placed you where you are for his purpose.
It's the purpose.
And
keeps kicking back to purpose.
You keep coming back into the place of God. And even if you take a side tour, God won't let you stay in that side tour. And many of you are on a little side. You've been on a side trip. God wants you to get back into focus. Because he wants us to finish strong. You may be 18. God wants you to finish strong because our life is accumulation of obedience, step after step of obedience. In your ministry, brother, Christmas is a big time. What's happening this Christmas?
Well, I mean, on an average week in Metro Sunday School, we have 200,000 kids on an average week. So at Christmas, it's going to be close to 260,000 as the way it's shaping up now. And you guys know, because you've helped me here. In the past, we try to get every kid in the Sunday school a Christmas gift of some kind, depending on where they are in the world and what the greatest need is. And right now, we're feeling it because at 260,000 this year, we've got to have help. We've got to have people stepping up.
How do you know, like, how we can help people in another country? How does that work?
Because our team lives there. Our team, we're not the people that come and go. They all live there. So whether it's food in the Philippines, whether it's a school supply situation or simple clothing in Kenya, if it's more of a standard gift here in the U.S., but because we're there, our teams are there. They know, and they visit these kids. We know what it takes. We know what the needs are. We just need people to help.
Well, it's a great ministry, been going for a long time. Go to our website, ctvn.org, and we'll put a link over to Bill's ministry, and it'll tell you exactly how you can put your hands on ministry there and help kids. It's all about trying to reach out to those who don't have anybody to love them, isn't it?
And that's what the man did for me. I've spent my entire life doing for kids all around the world exactly what that man did for me when he picked me up off the street corner.
And who knows what the children that you're doing that with, what's going to be their fruit.
That's right.
See, you don't know. You just
he didn't know when he picked me up.
No. Did he ever find out?
Oh, yeah.
So
He
does
He sure
know
has.
now.
He sure has.
And you won't know what good you do. Ultimately, it's true, Terry, we won't know until we get to be with Jesus. Then he'll say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Call us, 888-665-4483, and let's just stand together, and let's make that next move. You know, it takes a risk. I'm going to tell you right now, it takes a risk. Yep. You can't stay comfortable. You got to step out. And when you step out, God meets you in every moment. He'll take you where you need to go. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with coaching to talk about honor.
Now more than ever, it's important to stay connected. Here at Cornerstone, we want you to be in the loop. Call now for Real Life Today, the free newsletter that will keep you up to date on all of our programs and specials. It has encouraging articles and behind-the-scenes stories. Real Life Today, the little newsletter that packs a giant punch. Call now.
I'm excited about what God is showing you, how He's teaching you, how He's giving you instructions on how to take that next step in life, how to put your life in alignment with Him and His goal for you. Because you know He's got a great plan. His plan is the best you that you could ever be. And then when you're walking in God's Spirit and His power on His path, you're going to win in life, and you're going to win in life God's way. Honor is the art of stewarding relationships. How do you take care of people who take care of you? So how can we show honor when we begin to show them that honor and start respecting them? Bob Hasson and Danny Silk are our coaches for this series. They're the authors of The Business of Honor. Let's get ready for coaching. Brothers, I'm so glad we can spend this time together in our coaching to dive in and get to a better understanding what it means to honor and what that does in our lives and how God ordains that. How does that act of being honoring somebody or something, how does that impact our lives?
I think probably most important that we have to drill into here is the idea that what is honor? What does it mean? Does it mean to recognize the highest performers of a category? Does it mean to give it to people that are esteemed kind of strangers and hold particular responsibility? Or is honor something much more general application like love, like truth and trust? And there is where biblical honor happens. Biblical honor happens in the arena of love. Like Jesus says, love your enemies. You've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemies. But I tell you, love your enemies. As soon as you hear that, you get anxious because you're wondering, how in the world am I going to love somebody I know wants to hurt me? I mean, this is absurd. And this is where the supernatural power enters. This is where you can't do this by yourself. This isn't something that everybody's doing. Actually, nobody's doing it. People honor people who deserve it. And here's how we deserve it. I see in you myself, and I honor that. I agree with you. So when I disagree, my honor falls apart. I have no honor. If you don't remind me of me somehow, I don't honor you. And so I will honor people that share my values. I will honor people that spread my message. I will honor people who resemble my character. But when I find somebody who doesn't remind me of me, what would I honor? Think about the last person who won a national election that you did not vote for. What comes to mind? The biblical instruction to honor those in authority, 1 Peter 2:17, honor the king, honor those that God has placed in authority. You know, that passage starts with honor all people, honor the king. And so now what we have is a transformation of definition. It doesn't simply mean honor people that you elected, honor people that you agree with. It really means honor people who were created in the image of God. Honor all people. And now our disagreements are handled differently. I actually bring honor with me to a disagreement. I bring love with me to an enemy. Now I begin to enter into a partnership that I've not had before. I've never had to bring the presence of God into a disagreement before. I've not had to bring the presence of God into a relationship where this person would like to hurt me. Now what we're beginning to do is now we're beginning to bring heaven to earth. Now we're beginning to set up a biblical context for how we're going to behave together. Now I respond differently to your Facebook post that I disagree with. I actually have to honor you in my exchange, not simply dishonor you because I disagree with you. So it really starts with who am I as a son or daughter of the king, or am I an orphan out there just fighting for every nut and berry that I can collect against all the other competitors?
That's great. For example, in my walk with the Lord, because I grew up with an angry father, I learned that I had to take care of myself. And when you operate as a person that's taking care of yourself, you're operating out of orphan identity. So when you come to faith, you say, Jesus, I accept you. Thank you so much for your mercy and grace. But there's this thing that you hold from him. And in my case, that was control, because I was ashamed. So the voices in my head were saying things like, you're dumb, you're stupid, why'd you make that decision? You could have done better. While a person with a healthy attitude as a loved child of God is saying, I am a loved child of God. The Father is proud of me. I'm the richest kid on the block. I have all these resources that I can give away. And so the journey is moving from this orphan identity, which in my case took 30 years, to the place where I could finally say, I'm a loved child of God and the Father is proud of me. How this plays out in business is, I'll take for example, something that happened in my company a couple years ago. We strive to honor people on our team and to listen and understand everybody's opinions. And it came to our attention on one of our job sites out in the field, one of our general superintendents was dishonoring his employees. He was belittling them. He was using foul language. He was doing exactly the opposite of what we do to each other in our leadership team and what we portray to the superintendents. So I had him in with a group of our executive team, and I asked him about this dishonoring behavior. And he said, listen, I get the job done. My jobs are profitable. The customers love the company. What's it matter? And I thought for a second, and I said, do you like working for this company? And he said, yes, this is the best company I've ever worked for. I want to retire here. I said, oh, that's good. How do we treat you? And he said, oh, this is the best company. I said, okay, who in this company gave you permission to dishonor the people that are working for you? Because it certainly wasn't us. And a light bulb went on in his head, and in the moment he saw what we were saying to him, and he went and his behavior changed. And without us asking, he called the people who didn't work for us anymore and apologized to his current team. That is honor in action.
And really, when we talk about the honor being formed in our identity, what begins to happen, and what Bob just pointed out, is we create a culture around us. Whether you're a mother, single mother, whether you're a family, whether you own a business, or you lead a church, or you lead a Bible study, or whatever it is, you lead from what you believe to be true about yourself in relationship with the one who authorizes you. Where did you get your authority? Where did you get your ministry? Where did you get these children? Who gave you these children? Who authorized you in your behavior as a leader? And now you have to go upstream and you have to see that culture. You have to look at the culture that is leading you, and in staying consistent with heaven's culture, you now love like nobody's ever seen anybody love. You honor. You brought honor with you. You didn't go honor people who honored you, and you don't honor yourself and others. You brought honor with you. And you don't simply just trust people that are perfect, because if that's who you trust, you don't trust anybody. You trust illusions. You trust people you don't know. But if you can tell the truth in any relationship, if you can show people who you are, if you can bring that kind of courage to a leadership role, to a parenting role, to a marriage, then you're going to experience what trust is, which is the exchange of truth between two powerful people. So when we talk about honor, we're really talking about powerful people working together to protect relationships and to meet needs and to meet the needs of the situation. Over and over and over, honor is the practice of powerful people, not somebody with power being nice to powerless people, and not powerless people trying to survive a powerful person, but in fact, realize that we were all filled with the Holy Spirit. Every single one of us have been filled with the spirit of power. And so we have to learn to walk in love, power, and a sound mind, or literally the mind of Christ. That's what we're walking in. And so as we carry this into our interactions, as we carry this into our disagreements, as we carry this into our disconnections, somebody wounded us, somebody failed us, somebody scared us. When we remain powerful in our interactions and focused on protecting relationships, now we're talking about building biblical honor. Now we're talking about the momentum of heaven happening on the earth.
So good. So if we look at 1 John 4:18, love and fear cannot coexist because fear has to do with punishment. When we look at this scripture, we can see it in our own lives and our family lives. But if we take that scripture in our business place, how are we leading? Are we leading with fear and intimidation? Because if we are, according to the scripture, love can't coexist. So we all have worked for the dictator. We've all worked for the genius, and we are his 1,000 helpers. What we're trying to do with the business of honor is create a culture at our workplace where love is leading, where people are seeing the Father in heaven through us, whether we're telling them about Jesus or not. And most of us aren't. So the only thing that we have left is, how are we acting? How are we loving? How are we honoring? How are we trusting? And this exchange of truth creates a place of safety that Danny was talking about. What gave language to me was Danny's book called Keep Your Love On, which is the best book about relationships that I have ever read. And in that book, as I was reading it, all these business scenarios just kept filtering through my mind as he's talking about family, relationships, children. And that was the genesis of how we came to talk about honor in business.
I think just ending this segment, what I want to say is that there's a transition that happens in our lives. We go from seeing God as maybe we've experienced earthly authority, earthly parents. And it so shapes our paradigm that we project it onto God our Father. Over and over, you know, we're reminded that Jesus came to the earth to show the Father. He didn't come to show a whole bunch of other things. He came to show the Father. And so as we make this transition, we're really being reminded that when people see us, they see our Father.
What you guys are describing is a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
It's not a natural thing.
It's not.
Because in the natural world, we want to get on top of the pile, not get under the pile. We don't want to be servants, we want to be served. And so you're describing the process of being a servant and being a servant leader, whatever circumstances that we're in. And in our next session, we're going to talk about that transition from being an orphan to having that relationship of a son. I want you to know that there's a book that perfectly describes this. And for many that are watching, you may be going, man, this stuff is really deep. Well, it's truth. And truth does have levels that we need to explore. It can't be all surfacey. We have to get to the meat of the word. And so I'm going to tell you that this book has got the meat of the word. It's very important we learn to honor. We learn to honor God's way and do it in a way that is eternal in purpose and scope. That's how God works. God's at the beginning, God's in the middle, God's at the end, but it's all at the same time. It's simultaneously. That's just, can't understand, I can't understand it. So I want you to have this book. Along with the book, the DVD that we recorded, as my brothers were here with me in the studio, that will show you the truth in deep ways. Someone will give you the book and the DVD. It's our gift to you, and all we ask is that you plant a seed in Cornerstone. Your best gift to the ministry is what we ask for you to do. Ask God. Just say, hey, God, what do you want me to do to help this gospel-winning, soul-winning gospel ministry to take deeper root? Obey God, and then leave the consequences of that obedience in His hands. And we'll send you the book and the DVD. We'll pay for the shipping, get it right out to you. And I guarantee you, you've got to get into it and read it and study. And when you do study this type of truth, you learn how to live in a whole different way. You know, there's a whole different dynamic going on in life and relationships. There's a whole different mentality in how you go into a business meeting or go into your church service or go into your family. And that's supernatural. And supernatural life produces testimonies. A testimony like this one.
I come from a very simple middle-class family that literally survived payday to payday with 6 children, 5 of them boys, okay? Called life, a wonderful Christian family. There was never any extra money, and that's okay. Then I went on, I was able to put myself through college and became a CPA, and things worked out really, really well. But we have to understand that everything that we have is a gift from God. Giving has always been something that I was raised with. I'm very blessed. I was raised in a Christian home, as is my wife. And so we always knew about the financial aspects of our Christian faith, and giving was always something that we always did. About 1.5 years ago, I was late one evening, maybe 9 o'clock at night, just sort of surfing around the television, and I came across Cornerstone TV, and they were doing one of their telethons. One of the speakers was talking about making a financial gift, sowing the seed. We had a very small debt, like a $1,000 or $2,000. And I'm 67 years old. I don't like to have any kind of debt at all. I made a $600 gift to Cornerstone Television and sowed that seed that evening. God has His timetable, and so I went into it with that thinking, while something could happen soon, it could also be God's way to maybe never do it at all or do it at a different time. Well, what happened in about 3 or 4 weeks' time is I got a call from a business in the Pittsburgh area, and they were inquiring if I could do a certain tax job. I prepare income taxes for a certain amount of people. It turned out that it was not to do a single income tax return, but it was to do hundreds of tax returns. The financial rewards of that were in excess of 100 times of the gift that I had sowed. And now what's happened is I do all of those same returns year in, year out, and have built a pretty nice tax practice for myself. And I have to say that I credit it all to the Lord, to going back to sowing that first gift. That's what triggered it. Sowing a seed is very, very important because it gets, first of all, it gets us in a mindset of giving up something, okay? And that's in itself important. It's not all about me. It's not all about what I have. It's what God has entrusted me with and blessed me with. So seeking prosperity and sowing the seed are two very, very different things. When we talk about sowing, just look at ourselves. Why do I have what I have? And do others need to be blessed? Do others need to be helped? Because God has blessed me with so much. Remember, too much is given, much is expected. Well, that's true about our finances, and I have no doubt that if you give God His proper time to do His great things, it will happen.
You know, that testimony is the perfect introduction to this discussion about honor, because what we just heard was I obeyed the Lord and I planted a seed into Cornerstone, and look what God has done in response to that. So, guys, I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys the question. How can you honor people if you don't honor God? First, honor God.
Right. That's a tough one. I mean, I think that's like almost a no-brainer in a way, because you have to honor God. I mean, it says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And in loving Him, if honor, the essence of honor is love, then we have to know how to love God to give God honor, right? So we have to honor God first. What about you, Jay?
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. You know, I don't believe, because that type of living, honor, isn't what we do today. You know, I was thinking about when that whole teaching there, I was thinking about the scripture in Matthew 5, I believe it is. He says, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hurt you, and pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you. I don't know about y'all, but I can use an edge up on that. Yeah. You know, that's hard. I mean, he's not saying do good, like he said earlier on. He's not saying love your neighbors and hate your enemies. He's saying love your neighbors and love your enemy. And you can't do that without honoring the Lord. You have to have an honor for His word and a respect. And the word honor means high esteem. So you have to hold God in high esteem and hold His word in high esteem in order to be able to love others that way, because you can't do it within yourself.
You can't do it within yourself. And I just think in our society today that I feel like honor is missing, in that there's just been so much disagreement, and it's ugly and it's emotional. And I'm like, wait. What happened to, if you don't agree with the government, but it says you're supposed to pray for those in authority above you, and you're supposed to pray for your enemies. And I'm like, what happened to all that? How can you pray for somebody and hate them at the same time? I mean, I don't get that. I mean, is that possible to pray for somebody and hate them and be dishonoring to them? I don't understand that.
Well, the principle of honor is a supernatural principle.
Without a doubt.
Because it's not man's nature. I mean, I might want something good to happen to you, and I might respect you because you've achieved a high level of success. Now I'm kind of jealous, maybe, or envious of you, and I'm hoping to rub up against you and get in your world, so maybe some of that rubs off on me. That's not honor.
Right.
No, that's not honor. Honoring was when I look to you or whoever I'm looking at, and I see you as who God made you to be.
Valuable.
Yeah, you value people, and according to God's value. So you can't do that in the natural. You can't say that. And about presidents and other elected politicians, they are there by the hand of God. If we don't have that as a foundation, then we're all lost.
Exactly.
Because God puts in place, as He puts kings, raises kings up, that we are to put our prayer and our support behind whoever God puts in leadership. So if we don't do that, well, then we're disobeying God. And so that's why it becomes so contentious. There's so much that we can learn. There's so much we can learn. This is one of those things, brothers and sisters, that you've got to think about. This isn't one of the easy things where you got, you know, love, patience, peace. Those are all wonderful things. But this is something you got to really think about. You got to look at yourself through the perspective of what is truth. Because you won't honor anything that you don't believe to be true. At least you shouldn't. If you do, then you're deceived. So that's why Cornerstone has brought this book, and Real Life's brought this book to you as a gift to you. It's our gift to you. So if in your spirit you're wondering, what I need to learn honor. I need the business of honor so that I can, both in my personal life, my private life, my corporate life, my family life, my church life, my relationship with God, because listen, if we don't honor Him, we're not going to honor anybody else. I'm going to give you the book, and along with the DVD that we recorded when the brothers were with me here in the studio. It's our gift to you. Whatever God tells you to do, you obey Him. You honor Him by planting a seed into this ministry, just as we saw the testimony before. And then God will continue. What I like about this whole concept, guys, is it's reciprocal. In other words, it starts a momentum. One step leads to another step, leads to another step, until pretty soon there's a volume going. And so I'm honoring you, you're honoring Him. It's like a wave that goes out, and then He says, well done. You guys got it.
Well, think about it. If we honor each other, you know, think about people that don't like President Trump, but they don't honor him. They raise up, get Trump out of office. We hate him, this, that, and the other, but love Trump's hate and all this stuff. And, you know, all these different types of things that people don't. Imagine if we honored people, like he said, that we disagreed with. If we honor them, in spite of what we feel about their opinions, if we still honor them as men and women that God created in the image of God, if we still honor them and hold them in high esteem, it gives room for the Holy Spirit to move. And that's what we saw in the Civil Rights Movement.
That's it, brother.
They just simply, no matter what they did to them, they still honored them. They didn't retaliate. And I think that's the key. When somebody does you wrong, can you honor them and not retaliate?
Well, here's the thing. Let's honor the office, whether it's the pastor's office. You know how many pastors are dishonored? Back in the corner of the sanctuary? When they should be respected and honored because they are in the office of pastor? Let's honor the office. Let's honor the office of the governor. Honor the office of the sheriff, the police officer. And then let the Lord work it out. Let Him put those who He wants in. And we can't be the judge, jury, and executioner. I just think there's a lot. Get the book. Call 888-665-4483 and say, I'm gonna plant a seed in the Cornerstone, and I'm gonna watch God use that seed. And look, here's some ways that He's used the seed. All these people have called in for prayer. Pastor Jay, would you pray over these folks?
Yes, Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you right now for the anointing of the Holy Spirit that's here today to destroy every yoke and to remove every burden. So, Father, you know the questions on the altar of every heart of this person. Father, you know the needs on the altar of every heart. So, Father, we pray today that you would reach down, meet those needs, saturate them, and do a supernatural work, Father, that not one of them goes without your best blessing over their life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, guys. We're so glad that you joined us for this edition of Real Life. You know, we're on every day, so we hope you tune in tomorrow as God leads us into His truth. Every show we end with the blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. You know, that's the kind of peace you can't understand. God's peace. We'll see you on next Real Life.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.